In this lesson, we're going to learn how to create a new project in Unreal Engine 4. Alright, so at this point you should have downloaded and installed Unreal Engine 4 on your machine. And once you've done that, you'll want to go ahead and open up the launcher. Now, the launcher is going to have a very large launch button on the left side. And once you click on that, it's going to bring up your Unreal Project Browser. And this is going to allow us to open up existing projects by going to the Projects tab, create new projects, or even download Unreal Engine levels and projects that are already created for you. Now, this would be really great for you to take a look at the power of Unreal, because there are several of these projects that take a look at reflections. You can get immersed in like their beginner level, I guess, their introductory level, that sort of thing. If you want to open those up, you'll want to go to your Projects tab if you've already done that previously, and you can see that we have like content examples, effects, the mobile, realistic rendering, reflections. This one's really cool. I like this one. And then we have the shooter game as well. So you can take a look at all of those as you progress. Now, we want to create a brand new project. And in the New Project tab, you're going to see several different templates that you can use whenever creating an Unreal Engine 4 project. We can create a blank project with no code whatsoever. We can create a project with basic code, and this is going to be using C++. We also have the availability of creating a project that uses a first-person camera that uses code, and then we have the same thing, but it's using Blueprints. Now, Blueprints is the new system that replaces Kismet. So if you are familiar with UDK, this might look to be the same, but it's not the same. It's easier to use, in fact. But we'll be talking about Blueprints later on. Now, we also have things like side scrollers. You can use the code version or Blueprint version. We have a third-person camera, and then we also have this top-down. Now, if you want to use one of these cameras, you can go ahead and do so, but I'm going to show you how to use this at a later time. So let's go ahead and just create a blank project. Okay. Now, before we create a blank project, we want to go ahead and make sure that we include the starter content. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us some props that we can use and static meshes that we can bring into our levels to get started very quickly. Then we want to give our project a name. And essentially, this is going to be a new folder. So you'll want to give it a name. And in this case, I'm going to call it UE4_files. Now, if you want to follow along, you're more than welcome to do that exactly the way I do it, but this is essentially going to be the start of your project files that you can download from our website if you have the proper subscription. Now, you have the name set, okay? And if you have any issues with that name, let's say that you've got a folder that already has that name, you might see a warning that comes up here in red. In this case, I don't have anything like that. Now, I want to know exactly what folder this is going into, so I'm going to create a custom folder. And I can do that by clicking on this little browse button here, and that's going to toggle more options. And you can see the folder that I'm going to be going into. You can see the project files, Introduction to Unreal Engine 4, and then inside of that folder, it's going to create this UE4_files folder. And then inside of that, we're going to get our config files, our content files, and then our UE4_files.u project. And that's going to keep everything nice and organized for us. Now, once we've finished with all of that, we're ready to go. We can just simply hit Create Project, and that is going to reopen the editor, import all of those assets, and we'll be ready to go with our first level. Alright, so if you've included that starter content, it's going to open up the minimal_default level. And this is just going to be the level we're going to use to kind of get the hang of the basics of working in Unreal Engine 4 before we get into our project. So now that we have this ready to go, we're going to move on to our next lesson, and we're going to learn about the interface, get an overview of that, and then as we progress throughout this course, we'll get an idea of where we're going as I move around the interface and begin working very quickly. So we'll get started with that in our next lesson.